All right, we've received an eminent domain letter. It's all really redacted because I didn't want to share our exact location to the world. But yes, the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission has sent us an eminent domain letter. Okay, it's been raining off and on. It's kind of sprinkling right now, but I want the location of the garden we've been working in to be in the background. Okay, so we've got this eminent domain letter, and it does say this notice is not a condemnation of your property, but it could be. It doesn't say it could be, but I know that because I've also called the Turnpike Commission and talked to some local government offices and stuff about this. Hey guys, welcome back to Garden and Grease. We're here today to talk about the letter that we received a couple weeks ago and talk about how this is affecting us and maybe to give warning to those that are looking to purchase a property to have what we call our backyard homestead. Others might not call it that. It just might be gardens, chickens, and a home to some people. But even in the situation of just buying a home and putting your heart and soul into it, this might help you in decisions, or really not, and just a warning for what life may sometimes have coming. So, like I said, we got a letter from the Turnpike Commission. And I'll say to start, though this letter says this notice is not a condemnation of your property, it could be. So I do a lot of research when something happens, or even we're thinking about even the slightest thing, building a raised garden bed. Okay, so I do a ton of research. Buying our home, we did a lot of research. Not enough. Okay, so I'm gonna try to put some images up if I can. I don't like to give our exact location to the world, but we have a turnpike right near us. In a lot of the videos, I have to do a lot of like audio editing. It's not just because of the turnpike, it's also because we live on a pretty busy road. And the turnpike doesn't touch our property. There's a property in between us and a road that leads back to a new development that they've been building behind us. And but the bridge to go over the turnpike pretty much starts an incline at the corner of our property. Not like the incoming corner, but like the outgoing corner of our property. And the notice is to let us know that there's going to be surveyors, appraisers, core boring, soil testing and things like that. It's going to happen on our property and the properties surrounding this road that we're on, all the properties that touch the road, so that they can replace the bridge that goes over the turnpike. So they are turning the Pennsylvania Turnpike from 4-lane to 6-lane. And there's a lot of areas where that has already been done. So I've utilized information from the areas where they have done this, where they have replaced bridges and already widened the turnpike from 4 to 6 lanes. So I pulled up images and documents that they've used already, so that I could kind of get an idea what's going to happen. I called the Turnpike Commission, and though, it's limited information on the letter, I wanted to know the scope of the work that they're going to be doing in the future, when, like, timelines for stuff, what we can expect, and if they could tell us the chances that our property would be on the chopping block. and they use the words take. They can't legally use the words buy your property or whatever. They say take your property, which was like hard to digest at first. I've heard it so many times now that it's kind of like, I get it. So the Turnpike Commission, the person they give you to contact, like their PR person to like ease everybody's mind. I get that, and the person was friendly and, communicated well, just like a person in that position should. So she confirmed, yes, this portion of the Turnpike will, like the rest of it, will go from 4 to 6 lanes eventually in the future. And preparing for that, they need to take care of everything, the bridges that are going over it, things that are near it. They need to start taking property to prepare for the upcoming changes. Now, mind you, the actual widening of the turnpike in this section may not happen for 10 or 20 years, but the bridge thing is happening within the next few years. And this is just the beginning of the process. She assured me that continue to do my gardens. That was my first thing. I turned my front yard into a garden. Should I even use it for a garden this year? And she says, yes, for the next few years, you will have access to do that to your gardens. The bridge replacement will probably not actually start construction for 5 years from now. If we get to keep our home, that construction will probably take about 2 years. So in front of our home would be a construction site for about 2 years. Getting onto our property, because our driveway will be on that road, will most likely be hindered. So I don't know how they're going to remedy that if we get to keep our home. She couldn't tell me whether we should expect our home to be taken or not. She seemed to be I don't want to say confident, but positive at the idea that our home won't be taken. But she's like their PR person for it. So, I think she has to be positive on those things to appease the homeowners. Some other people I talked to within like government agencies that I know, they also seem pretty positive for the most part. They don't have information to go off of yet though, because they're literally in the beginning phases of creating the idea and drawing it up, what they need to do. And it probably won't be for another 2 years, maybe 1 to 2 years before we would find out if our home would be taken from us. So that's where we're at right now. We don't know. And we won't know for like probably 2 years if our home is going to be taken in this process. So we've been here for almost 3 years now. And we've took a home that was uninhabitable and worked really hard. Plumbing, electrical, complete tear out, building this home into what it is, and it is to us amazing. New roof on the house and the garage. We've done a lot. Yes, if you see it in the videos, you're like, oh my gosh, they need to paint their house. They need those things. You don't need to live. You don't need beautiful painted exterior to live a happy life. You need plumbing, you need a kitchen, and you need a bathroom. And we've made those things wonderful. The living room, the dining room, our son's bedroom, great. Our bedroom, it definitely still needs a remodel. We have a spare bedroom that needs a remodel. You've probably seen it in some of my seed starting videos or some of those. That room definitely needs an overhaul. So there's still interior spaces that need a nice paint job and stuff like that, but you don't need any of those things to live a happy life. Not for us, at least. Some people might need that, and I'm not judging. Some people need the finer details all buttoned up and taken care of to live a happy life, and that we don't need a lot. But we put a lot of money, but more than money, like hard labor into building the gardens, doing the interior work, on the house, but the front garden, all of this, building a chicken coop, building the soil. And I don't think that like an appraiser or somebody sitting in an office that doesn't, if they're a gardener and they get it then. I mean, the chances of finding that those people are going to appreciate great soil in my garden and put a value on that is like, I'm going to say probably pretty slim. So, we built great soil and I'm like really accomplished by that. And, those things make me happy. All right. So where we are right now, we, are unknowing for probably 2 years, if we are going to be able to keep our home or not. The Turnpike Commission people say that they will be attending the township meetings in about a year or so to start communicating their intents and their plans. They are just in the beginning phases of planning. So things that we aren't doing because we don't know. We're not going to finish any of our major projects. We were going to paint our home, the outside. Most of our inside is done. There's still like 2 rooms that need to be finished, but those are just like painting jobs and stuff. We needed to finish some of the exterior on our garage, some of the interior work on it. We're going to put that off. There's a lot more garden beds I was going to put in. I was actually going to do a water feature. I was getting free block and stone and nice pavers. I was going to be getting from a family member for free. Thank you, Sue. But if we get them, they may just sit here because I don't have the motivation to put in something that may actually, be pretty inexpensive for us to do. Like the lining for it and the pump and stuff would have cost money. But a lot of labor of love. I was going to have, literally the day after we got the letter was the day I planned on going to a local nursery to pick up some evergreens that we were going to be putting back here, because you can see like the roof of a house behind there, the building at new neighborhood. And though this one's okay, they were starting to build taller ones, like I'm trying to point and look at myself in the camera here, in that direction. So that's an open lot there, and the one next to it they built taller homes so you can really see them. And in the winter time you could see all of that neighborhood basically, and because there's no green back here then. So we were gonna put evergreens in to kind of block it. Not that we don't think the new homes are pretty. Sorry guys, your homes are beautiful. But we loved this property because in the summer, in the fall, even in the spring, it's like we're cocooned by nature in our backyard. And that was really like one of the biggest selling points. There's a lot of reasons why we bought this home, but that was one of them. The backyard was like our own little nature cocoon. And we're still close to town, and we're close to, hospital services, which was important to us because we plan on living here until we die. And we needed to make sure our home was a ranch, that it was close to services that we're going to need when we're elderly, things like that. So we took all that into consideration. Our son's school, where his mother lives. I'm a stepmom, so where his mom lives, we purchased this property because of the location, the services nearby, the ability to make it into what we needed for like our retirement home, and the yard, because it like cocooned us in. Even though you might be able to still hear it, this loud noise on the road. That's like one of the biggest downsides to the whole thing. But we were gonna put evergreens, and we weren't going to get them little because we had a lot of shrubbery here, so we needed to get them big enough that they were going to be able to get enough sunlight to continue to grow. So we were looking at a minimum of like $100 for each of those. Some of them, I wanted one that was a blue weeping spruce, and to kind of train it to kind of go funky. Those are pretty expensive. And we were gonna put in some pretty expensive key features, and I'm glad I got the letter when I did, because it saved me a ton of money that I was literally getting ready to spend the next day. So good timing on that. Sucks that we're not doing that now because it's expensive, and then not knowing if we were going to be here to enjoy it for years to come. So we are going to put that off until we find out. That sucks. So we're really 50-50 on thinking that we might be able to keep our home, and thinking that we might not. And then if we keep our home, our front yard, the road in front of us, it's going to be a construction zone. That's going to suck to live through. So I probably won't be able to garden my front yard. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. But kind of telling you guys this because if in the future, if we do have to move, we definitely will not be buying a property anywhere near the turnpike. But you don't know. We know somebody that had their property taken by the school district. A lot of property. And you never know when a government entity will want to take your property or a portion of it for public use. Though you have to pay to ride the turnpike. So in my mind, I don't really think of it as public use. So just think about that. Maybe be flexible. We're still young enough that we can put the labor in. If we have to renovate a new home and property, if we have to move. And, we have decent jobs, so we can afford to handle that situation. And we have good credit scores. Keep that in mind. After you buy your property, you should still keep up your credit score, because you never know when something's going to happen and you're going to need to finance something else in the future. Because if they take our home, yes, they will, I guess they give you, and this is what they said, if we take it, you will be compensated fairly for it. I don't know what that would look like for us to buy a 3-bedroom ranch home with about a half an acre lot near amenities in our zip code. It's actually kind of costly. That's why we bought this, and we put all the sweat money into it, or whatever you call it. We put the labor into it instead of the money into it, because the cost of living in our area is really high. And the cost of homes, food, fuel, everything is actually really high in our area. We would love to be able to move into the mountains. There's a lot of barriers to doing that I think some people don't think about. Our son is one of them. We have 5 kids, and all of them except for one are adults. So we have one young child that attends school and has his mother. We can't move too far away because we would have issues with transportation and stuff to and from. So we take all those things into consideration. Moving into the mountains wouldn't be that easy. The cost of living would be cheaper up there though. But then it takes into consideration when we are older, we will be further away from the amenities that we may need when we're older, and further away from all of our kids. So you don't want to be a burden on your children when you're elderly, but it is nice that if there's an emergency that they can come over and help you with stuff. So we take that into consideration. So that's where we're at right now, guys. Different video than what we normally make. We're normally doing gardening. So we're gonna keep gardening. I literally went and bought the rose that I've always wanted. I was trying to find 2 shrubs, 2 like small shrubs. The ones I wanted ended up being way too expensive, but to put in our whiskey barrels in the front because the winter hollies didn't survive. And while I was there and not able to get, I was a little sad because I wasn't able to get the ones I really, really wanted. I found the David Austin Lady of Shalott, and that is my #1 rose that I've always wanted. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna plant it in the ground. And maybe that's like me just making my stake in this and putting my my mojo or whatever you want to call it, so that we'll be able to keep our home. It is beautiful, and I don't want to wait any more years to get it. So I got it, and I've already figured out exactly where I'm putting it. I'm going to plant it today. And I did ended up, after I decided I was buying that rose, 2 beautiful bushes made their way into my field of view, and I picked them up. The 2 euonymus, I'll put the tag on the screen. I can't remember the exact name of them. I planted those out yesterday into my pot. So I'm still working in the garden. I'm just, after the roses and the bushes, not going to put a whole lot more money into the property or build a lot more beds and structure. I'm not putting in a water feature like I wanted to, which would have been really cool. It was gonna go kind of in that back corner, and I was gonna build a wall like this from the stone and then have the water feature come down over like a waterfall into a pondish area, just a small pond area, and then recycle back up, because in front of that area is where we sit and we have our bonfires. So we have our bonfires, you see the logs, we sit on those, and we have our bonfires in that area. So it would have been really neat, sitting area and hearing water flowing back there, and having some evergreens around us, maybe a cute little Japanese maple back there. So maybe in the future, when we find that we can keep our home, that is something that we will do. And we'll just save that money up in the meantime for a project like that. All right, guys, well, thank you for letting me sit here and vent to you about our possible taking of our home, the eminent domain, which they use that term anytime that they are going to be on your property, it says. They're notifying us that they are using eminent domain code, blah, 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 in order to conduct surveys, studies, tests, soundings, core boring, and or appraisals. So it'll be necessary for their employees and or agents of the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission to enter our property or properties along and adjacent to the vicinity, blah, blah, blah. So they can use eminent domain to say that they're going to be on your property doing that, or that they're taking your property. But either way, nobody wants to see the words eminent domain being attached to their property. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Garden in Greece. I hope you have a really great day. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Remember that most of our videos are about gardening, preserving, tending our chickens, and developing our backyard homestead. All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.